instilling in the consumers an awareness of the importance of sustainability, which is our ultimate goal.
So to summarize what we've discussed today, we concluded that price is ultimately what drives students' decisions and actions. However, many students showed an intention to be sustainable, and 42% of the students surveyed indicated that they would be willing to learn more about this topic, which is promising because it means that these students with a little bit more knowledge and awareness would be more comfortable paying a little bit more if it meant that they were getting a sustainable dish. We also concluded that restaurants would be willing to offer more sustainable options if there was a noticeable increase in demand by consumers. So based on these conclusions, the next step would be to educate the public, and we recommend that this be done by a reputable organization that has the means to provide interactive and engaging lessons, which would promote enthusiasm in our Tucson community regarding sustainable seafood. Before developing any sort of curriculum, however, we recommend administering another survey that targets more of the Tucson community, because there could be some key differences regarding knowledge and attitudes when comparing the student population to the general public. After initiating these education efforts for the general public, the next step would be to offer seminars to restaurant owners, managers, and chefs that would emphasize responsible buying. For our research, as Trisha mentioned, we reached out to 21 restaurants, but only 3 agreed to sit down for an interview. However, we predict that because this would be backed by a reputable organization, more restaurants would be willing to attend these seminars. Through the implementation of these next steps, we predict that increased awareness by consumers would encourage restaurants, grocery stores, and suppliers to seek more sustainable seafood options. And while we recognize that change cannot happen overnight, our hope is that through this domino effect of increased awareness, we may one day see significant and positive changes within the seafood industry. That is our presentation. Are there any questions?
So you recommend that you survey a wider audience. Would you use the same instrument, or would a separate one be developed?
More than likely, probably a different one would be developed, because we tailored our survey to U of A students, so it was more geared towards their price point, sensitivity, and preference of educational medium. So we would probably change the survey to tailor more of the Tucson population.
Mm-hmm. We would probably get rid of some of these questions regarding, area of study, and we may actually vary this price point question to include a couple of more. So here we had, would you be willing to pay $5 more? We could have a larger survey, because we'll be offering the incentive of free or reduced admission to a local attraction. I think that we could increase our survey to include more questions and be able to gather more accurate ideas of how exactly the Tucson public will respond to the suggested educational efforts. So we could have, would you, be willing to pay $3 more, $5 more? And they would be willing to answer these more of these questions because of our incentive.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that, talking about the survey, do you think there would be a difference in knowledge depending on if you just surveyed a different type of gen ed, somebody that's comprised of more nutritional science students or more natural resource students? Do you think you'd see a difference in survey results?
I think so.
What would that include, do you think?
For example,
well, as a natural resource student, I can, for one, assert that many students in my school have a much greater inherent interest for sustainability. So the goal of our survey, targeting a Tier 1 general education course, was to try and get as much of a sample of the larger population of U of A. because there are more biases, say, of people who are natural resource, because since that's what these students are studying, there is more of awareness about sustainability, and it's important in the community and in ecosystems.
Whereas I know for me, when I came in, I didn't really know that much about sustainable seafood, you know. So we thought that that would be a good survey to try and get the general education majors and backgrounds.
And then talking about the grocery store recommendation, do you think it would be a lot easier for, say, Sprouts and Whole Foods to be more on board with the recommendation sustainable seafood compared to like Safeway or Fry's, because they have organic, they have all those certain types of seafood and food in general?
Yes.
Yeah, I definitely would have to agree with that. Because they are targeted more to that kind of whole foods just kind of environment, and they are smaller as well, more of a smaller firm than a larger firm compared to Fry's and Safeway. So it would probably be easier to work with them in having sustainable seafood labeled compared to non-sustainable seafood.
We could probably assume that the people that do shop at those more Whole Food stores are already more aware and conscious of what they're buying, and so I think that the Whole Food stores, they would be way more willing to jump on board first, and then further down the line, hopefully we could get those more general stores to cooperate.
And that's the whole goal of our recommendations, is if we are able to educate the general public, the people that shop at Fry's, the people that shop at Safeway or any other grocery store, Albertsons, they are probably the ones that maybe have more of a budget constraint and a lack of knowledge maybe than the people that shop at Sprouts. So if we were able to educate them and maybe say, hey, this is really good for you and the environment, I think we would see an increase in both stores, you know, Sprouts and Fry's.
Thank you.
Very nice job. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.